Hi, I'm Julie Elliott. I'm part of the Tsarina group. Unfortunately, I cannot be here today, but I wanted to record my thoughts on the experience and talk about my part of the project and what I learned. And so hopefully I will not say too many times in this presentation, but I just wanted to share a little bit of my part in the project. So without further ado, what I will be covering is the experience our group had in putting together the survey in Google Forms, the IRB process, interviews, lessons learned, and positive experiences, and where I'm sort of hoping our group will go from here. First off, Google Forms. Google Forms, actually, our group, before we left the retreat last August, we had our 17 questions that we wanted to ask in the survey. And we were wondering, well, how are we going to put this survey out there? Because we're going to put it on somebody's web page. How are we going to do this? And it was actually another person in ILA, I believe it was Jen, who said, "Oh, try Google Forms. I do all my surveys in Google Forms, and it's a free." And that we perked up a free. That's wonderful. And I have to say, it was very easy to set up. You can find it in Google Form, in Google Drive, I should say, and it is free. And it gave us a really nice way to set up the survey. Gave us an easy link that we could send out to people, and it also provided a really nice graphic summary of the results. So when our survey results were done and we had 98 people that responded, it gave us this really beautiful set of graphics that we could use. The one difficulty was transferring those graphics to another format. So I wanted to take it out of Google Drive and save it to a PDF or into Word or something along those lines. It sounds really easy, right? Well, it actually wasn't. Had a very difficult time. Wasn't able to do it in a way that was very graphically pleasing. Luckily, Susan transferred the information to her, and she was able to go in and save it and put it together in the website, which I'm sure the rest of the group will be showing you later. So that was the one problem I had with Google Forms. Otherwise, it was a really nice, easy way to put together a survey. The big portion of the project that I took on involved submitting the proposal to the Institutional Review Board at Indiana University, and by submitting that proposal, being the person that was going to collect all of our interviews. So first off, what is the Institutional Review Board? The Institutional Review Board process is an important and necessary step for anyone doing research involving human subjects. And this was sort of, institutional review boards were set up in response to various human rights violations that were done in the name of research throughout the 20th century. And so universities and other places that do research kind of set up these institutional review boards where anyone doing human subject research, doesn't matter if you're drawing blood or if you're just like we are talking to other librarians about innovation, doesn't matter. You're dealing with humans, you have to take your information to the institutional review board. And the way that works is the people that submit an IRB proposal have to take these exams dealing with how to do human subject research and the ethical aspect of human subject research. And those exams take about an afternoon. And then after that, you submit a proposal to this board at your in my case, at my university, that lists the questions that I was going to ask. It listed any potential risks that the people that agreed to be interviewed might face. It had talked about how I was going to store the data, what kind of follow-up I might do if I don't initially, so it kind of had, it kind of deals with all the different steps to conducting an interview. And in my case, I thought, well, we had a limited number of people that we were going to interview, and I thought that it would be pretty straightforward. We were going to interview the people, the LSTA grant winners. And we had a list of 14 of those, and then we were going to submit a request to all of the fellow ILA members about sharing their potential innovation stories. So we had two key groups we were going to contact. I thought that seemed pretty straightforward, that I would be the person just in charge of doing all the interviews, and then that way the people who weren't affiliated with IU, so Marie and Georgianne and Margaret and Pam, wouldn't have to spend an afternoon going through all of this IRB exam trouble, that I would just be the person to take that part of the project on. And that was a huge mistake. so don't do what I did. Make sure that all of your members, whether they're from a university or not, have taken the IRB exam and are written into the proposal. So they are written into the proposal as people that are going to be collecting data, because this will allow your group more flexibility. It will allow for different ways to access, to conduct interviews. So, I contacted the different grant people, and a couple of them right off the bat just said no. And then, a few people said sure, and through follow-up and everything, we were able to get those interviews. But there were a large number of people who just didn't respond. And, if there were more of us that were listed as people that could, conduct interviews, then perhaps they could have also sent emails as well. They could have also tried to contact some of these people that weren't responding. And that would have made a huge difference. It also would have maybe given, additional, maybe they knew some of these people that were grant winners, and they could have contacted them, and it wouldn't have been some strange person, me, contacting them, but somebody that they knew, and maybe they would have been more amenable to doing an interview. So if you don't, if all of your members aren't written into the proposal, then they can't help you at that point when you aren't getting additional information. And the people in our group had really great ideas and different avenues for ways that they wanted to try to get this information. But because we had written our IRB proposal in a certain way, we didn't have the time to resubmit our IRB proposal to have all, the rest of them written in so that they could maybe follow some of these additional ideas that they had. So that was just a big mistake. So if you're going to do something with IRB, and I think projects where you interview other people is a good idea, and IRB is not bad. Just really have it well planned out before you submit your proposal. So make sure all of your members have taken the exam and are written into the proposal as people that can conduct interviews. And then take a close look at your plans for gathering data. So who you hope to interview, how you're going to follow up, and then think about the ways that those ideas might not work, and create a backup plan. So, for instance, when we wrote this proposal, we thought, of course the grant winners are going to want to talk about their project. Of course, our fellow ILA people will want to share their innovative stories. But things happen. People get busy. Things happen in people's lives. They mean to get back to you, and maybe they don't. Some of the people just straight up thought the projects, the grant winners that from LSTA, there were a couple people that just thought their projects weren't they weren't innovation as we defined it, so they just said no, we don't want to be interviewed. So those were things that we were not expecting. We hadn't thought about before we submitted our proposal. But if we had thought about it before we submitted our IRB proposal, then we could have had backups. So we could have had additional, we could have thought, maybe those LSTA grant winners aren't going to get back to us. What's another group? Like maybe we should have said we're going to also send things to all of the library deans in the state of Indiana, all of the public library directors in the state of Indiana. We could have come up with different people that we could have contacted for interviews. And we didn't think of that until it was too late. So those would be the two things I would really stress. Two huge lessons that I learned along the way is just to make sure that all of your members are written into the IRB. That's going to give you a lot more flexibility. And then just take a close look at your plans for your project and think of the ways that it might not work and come up with how you would address that. I think those two things are very, very important. And then another thing that I personally learned was if you're having a problem with your part of the project, speak up right away. Don't postpone at all. I think if I had said something to the group back in February or March, where I said, I'm not getting good feedback, that maybe we could have regrouped then. So I just think don't be shy about saying if you experience a problem with your part of the project. So those are the three things. Make sure your members have all taken the IRB. Take a close look at your plans for gathering data and come up with your backup plan. And also don't be shy about asking for help if you're running into problems. So the interviews, as I said, our requests for interviews were sent to our fellow ILA members via the wiki, the ILA listserv, and finally through individual emails. One of the fellow cohort members, Carrie Sanders, responded to the interview request. Requests for an interview were also sent to the 14 winners of the State Library's LSTA grant. Of the 14 LSTA Innovation Grant winners contacted about the project, 2 replied that their projects were not relevant to our definition of innovation. 8 didn't respond, and 4 agreed to further interview, although one of those, just due to schedule conflicts, never actually did get interviewed. So the innovation stories are as follows. We have 3 from the LSTA grant winners and 1 from our fellow cohort. So Carrie Sanders, One Book, One School. She's a fellow ILA member, and she shared her experience leading a One Book, One School study her last 2 years at Zionsville West Middle, where she served as a media specialist from 2008 to 2012. She felt that it really had a good way of presenting important messages through nonfiction and literature. And it was the middle school, so the common reading experience, there were a lot of shared activities. They changed it in 2012, so it'll become more of a one school, one theme study, where a variety of materials, fiction, nonfiction, multimedia, will be used. And it's going to incorporate the new Common Core state standards. She felt that, though, that the town uniting around the reading of one book enjoyed an energized, enriched reading experience throughout their one book study. And I'm going to apologize in advance for mispronouncing this name. For anyone who knows her, I'm so sorry. Kelly Enninger from Adams Public Library. The Adams Public Library won an LSTA grant in cooperation with the Vigo County Public Library System in 2012. Their project involves strengthening Wi-Fi access within their libraries, as well as providing iPads to staff for roving reference and laptops and an interactive whiteboard for additional patron training opportunities. Their project is still ongoing, but she notes that it has been a positive experience, allowing library staff to promote the library in a new way, and that continual staff training has really helped the program's success. Then there was Jacob Spear from the Hussey Mayfield Public Library. He won a LSTA grant in 2010 to upgrade the servers used to support the Evergreen Indiana Consortium, which provides library catalog service to 101 libraries within the state of Indiana. He stated that equipment and server upgrades led to faster catalog and allowed the consortium to add additional members, and that strong leadership from the Evergreen Executive Council and stable funding has allowed innovation within the consortium to flourish. Finally, there's Wendy Knapp from the Indiana Leadership Academy, and she won an LSTA grant in 2012 to launch the Indiana Library Leadership Academy. The program is an annual workshop, as we know, to help librarians work on their professional growth and leadership skills. There were some barriers to the project, such as staffing issues leading to less time spent on the project, technology issues with Web Junction, but overall she feels it has been very successful, with the workshop retreat and the participation by Maureen Sullivan and the creation of our capstone groups being key to the project's success. So where do we go from here? I did a little bit talking to some of the group members, and I'm hoping that we will do a follow-up study. There seems to be some interest on potentially doing a follow-up study on librarians' attitudes toward innovation, maybe following up on the information that we've compiled here, where we can get further information from additional librarians in the state on, first of all, their attitudes toward innovation, and also their particular successes, barriers, just a further follow-up study on whether they think what they do is innovative or not. We've been talking about, if we do follow-up studies, that we'll kind of incorporate some of the lessons that we've learned here, that everyone will be included on the IRB, so that everyone can kind of take part in collecting the interviews. And that we would probably do a little more brainstorming about, okay, these things worked, these things didn't work, how would we have a follow-up if the particular group that we had contacted didn't respond to us. Overall, this has been a fabulous experience. I really learned a lot. It was really a great experience to work with these people and to get to know them through the conference calls that Margaret set up throughout the year, and working with everyone on the paper and the information, and just learning a lot about what works and doesn't work. And I think sometimes you learn more from the things that don't work than the things that do. And so the struggles with the interviews and really made me think about the way that I had set the IRB proposal up and the mistakes there. And I think that's just going to make any further research that I do with groups stronger. And so I'm really grateful for that, because previously the research projects I had taken on were just ones that I did solo, and I didn't have to think about that. And so this was a wonderful learning experience, and I really hope that our group is going to work together on further innovation research in the future. And again, I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, and I hope to see you all soon. Thanks.